everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Low Code Approach. I'm Sean Fiene, a senior product marketing manager on the Power Platform and Microsoft Copilot Studio team, and I'm joined by...
I'm Wendy Haddad. I'm a senior customer experience program manager on the Planner team, and I am joined by...
Ken Auguillard, principal program manager, here with Sean and Wendy today. Wendy, what are we doing? Why are we here? What's going on? What's happening?
Well, I come armed and prepared with allies from the Planner team. So we have Shree, who is a principal product group manager, and Milan, who is a principal PM manager from the Planner organizations, here to talk to us all things Planner and AI and all our advancements there. So thank you both for joining. Maybe Shree, do you want to kick us off on helping just level set for our audience? We are recently expanding our podcast beyond low code. Talk about the rest of some of the investments we're making around productivity and collaboration. So what is Planner? Where does it fit in the suite? Kind of walk us through some of the evolution of Planner just to set the stage for us.
Yeah. So Microsoft Planner is a unified work management solution that combines the simplicity of to-do, the collaboration of Planner, and the power of project, which a lot of our power users have been using, into a single scalable experience. It helps individuals and teams organize tasks, manage projects, and collaborate efficiently. So within Microsoft, all these three different work management solutions, To-Do, Planner, and Project, fall under a single umbrella. While there are three different apps, there is a level of interoperability amongst them. And in the due course of time, you'll see more and more of the richness of a given feature which works well in one of the products might show up more in the other spaces. So Planner today works as a standalone app. It's a web app, and at the same time, you would be able to sort of access it within Teams as a Teams app as well, and that's one of the big interfaces for us. So that's a bit about Planner, and I know it's a great question because we keep getting this question like, hey, is Planner same as To-Do, and how does Project work into these things? We have three different applications. You will see more and more of these synergies between the three, and they all fall within the same umbrella within Microsoft. Yeah.
That makes sense. Shree, thank you for level setting us and getting an understanding of how Planner fits into this scheme. I use it all the time. I love Planner. Huge fan of it. Actually, we use Planner for our podcast for staging episodes and kind of making sure that we're tracking right with our release schedule and whatnot. And shout out to our producer who is a pro now at Planner. Well, let's talk a little bit about the future, and really that's AI and agents. And so Milan, can you give us some more information of how is Planner incorporating AI and agents in some of the new things that are rolling out?
Sure, Sean. Yeah. Thanks for having us here. Planner is really evolving into this intelligent project manager with AI and agent capabilities. It's not just helping you plan, track, and schedule. It can now generate complete work back plans for your goals, adapt them as things change, and even execute tasks on your behalf. I mean, at the heart of all this that I just said is project manager agent. That's really working alongside you and your team as a true teammate. And as Shree said, we're taking some of these skills now beyond Planner, bringing them across the Microsoft 365 surfaces like Teams and BizChat, so that your projects stay on track wherever you work.
Let's talk a little bit about the backstory and why we're creating the project manager agent. Milan, maybe you could help us with that.
Yeah, Ken, absolutely. So I think the idea for the project manager agent really began when Howard and Zoe, they came across this AutoGen paper from Microsoft Research in 2023. That paper laid out a framework for enabling agentic capabilities, essentially how multiple specialized agents can coordinate with each other to achieve a goal. A simple mental model to think about is our org charts. We have got engineering, design, PMs, each with their expertise. Now imagine hiring agents in those roles and having them collaborate under the guidance of a leader. Like that's the power of agentic systems, just having a simple mental model for that. Now, translating that to Planner, we saw the opportunity to create our first agentic experience, a project manager agent that can work really alongside you and your team and driving your project forward.
So I want to understand, is this replacing project managers at all? When we say project manager agent, right? Is this something separate? Where's the human in the loop with the project manager agent? And maybe what is it actually doing to help us?
I think that's a good question. I think the way to think about it is in all our daily life, there are part of life that we really dread, which are the drudgery side of things. For example, a great example I think Shree will talk about a bit more is around writing status reports, writing newsletters. I think everybody kind of they don't like that part of the job to do, and that's where project manager agent comes in. Like, can we delegate some of those type of work which is not probably core to our work, so that we can delegate to agent and they take care of it, so that we focus on something that's important. So that's why we call it a true teammate, where they kind of help us be more productive and take away some of those type of work things that we don't really like to do.
So it's like free staff aug, kind of.
And just adding on to that, right? From a project manager standpoint of view, the main pain point which we often notice is that, hey, users have a problem starting. So when we started with the project manager agent feature, like the key element there is you give it a goal, and with that goal in mind, it then breaks down the tasks necessary to accomplish that goal. That personally for me is super helpful, because I'm one of those guys who has this starting problem. Like, whenever you give me a big project, I'm like, hey, where do I start? But once I get started, then I'm able to make considerable progress. So just from that standpoint of view, I think for a lot of these things, if you give it a goal, it's a good starting point. And from there on, it gives users the ability to sort of take that work forward and continue from there on. That's definitely something that we started off with, and that's where we made progress. Then obviously, as Milan highlighted, we as project managers, sending a weekly status report is definitely something that I don't enjoy, but I know that it's a necessary part of the work. So we've also automated generating status reports for projects. So that's something that the project manager agent has within itself. These are all some of the cool features, and we are seeing users using it. And over the since announcing it last November, we are seeing usage, and we are seeing we are getting the feedback from users. Overall, it's been a journey which is good to see and see the adoption from the users.
Great, that's awesome. Let me try to ask a question on why we chose agents for this type of solution, right? Why is this the solution for the problem? Why wasn't this just a new feature or template added in that could solve these? Why would I choose an agent over maybe a new way to frame my process with a template? Like, what does the agent actually give me that's more, the plus one, if you will?
Yeah. So, I mean, traditional chat-based interfaces, one, they are very, how to say, they are based on an interaction model where you give a request and it provides a response, right? When agents come into picture, there is a multi-step functionality involved where, hey, if there is a complex task, then how do we sort of break it down into multi-step? And how do we then accomplish each one of these tasks? So just from a single prompt and a response standpoint, moving away from that paradigm to a more multi-step work orchestration standpoint of view, agents play a much useful role there. And given that we are part of the whole planner and a work management suite, we realized quite early on, when I say we, my boss Howard and Zoe, they saw this opportunity early on, and they realized that, okay, this is definitely something that meets our needs, and they onboarded onto that thing. And since then, specifically agents, the other advantage with the agents is like every agent has a good understanding of the tools that it has, which means that when a given action is required, it has an understanding of the various tools that it needs to do, and it's then able to sort of figure out which one to pick and be able to sort of do those things. Again, agents also allows the ability to get into the memory management and some of those complex ways of managing projects. Not just projects, it could be used in different contexts, but at least from a project standpoint of view, all these aspects meant that, agents were far more tuned to our needs. And that was the early entry point for us. Yeah.
So we have a lot of core features. You talked about the fact that we can do task generation. It's tied to goals. We have an integration with Whiteboard, the status reports. I know from working with customers, I think that's one of the top requested features for Project Manager Agent, and very exciting. We have some new announcements. So can you walk us through some of the new investments that we're doing in the Project Manager Agent? And I guess that's for Shree first, and then Milan, if you want to add on.
Yeah. So one of the things that from an investment standpoint, what we are going to see is it's still early days for us. We recognize that, while it may seem like, everyone's moving at 100 miles per hour, we recognize that this is more of a journey, and there's a lot of learning that needs to happen here. One thing that we will definitely see is that we will see the project manager be a part of several other interfaces. So Milan will speak more about it, but we are working on integrating with the team's ecosystem. In a given meeting, can project managers start doing certain simple tasks? The other thing we'll also start seeing is that, can the project manager agent work with BizChat, similar to researcher and an analyst agent that's already there in BizChat? We will start seeing a project manager start playing a role there, just being able to do certain very simplistic things, right? Can I basically capture the task instead of all these tasks residing in chat and these chats being proliferated in different places, and putting the onus of searching their tasks on the user instead of putting that problem to the user? Can we just bring it to Planner, right? So starting with something simpler, and then being able to sort of address some of those customer pain points. So I think, just from a feature standpoint of view and the work that we're doing, one of the key things is like, hey, can we meet the customer where the customer is instead of making the customer come to us? So that's the key focus for us. And also, not just meet the customer there, but also respond and manage the work where the customer is instead of forcing them to come to Planner. So that's one of the journeys that we are in. And that means that, in each of these surfaces, we will see task management or some of these Planner related capabilities start showing.
Yeah, just adding, Wendy, to what she's saying, I think now that the project manager agent has a strong set of skills in Planner, and as she said, there's ton of learning there to improve. I think the natural next step is just to go where the users spend a lot of time. As she said, Teams is just that hub, and within Teams, meetings are the place where so much of project management is happening, right? The note takings, tracking action items, follow ups, reminders, and a lot of things, right? So our next wave of investments is right now focused on bringing PMA into meetings. We are working closely with the meeting agent, which is there in meetings, and so all that goodness that we are building in Planner also flows seamlessly to where the people are and how they collaborate in meetings, and eventually expand it to channels, BizChat, and a bunch of more exciting stuff.
Well, you have just opened the door for me, sir. Thank you very much. Let's talk about that. So, if we dive a little bit deeper and you start delving into the meetings, we know that agents can have things that we know as hallucinations. How do we prevent those?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting problem that we have been tackling over past few months. I think it's a key problem for us to focus on. Like, we tackle it in two ways. If I simplify, one is making sure the agents have the right context so that they don't invent information. So that's number one. So, and you give context by providing all the right artifacts in meetings. So, for example, the transcripts, the chats, the files that all participants already have access to. So that's critical. Second part is by running strong evaluations. Now we have, in the LLM world, you need to have strong rubrics, and which is a way for you to tell the LLM how do you kind of generate output, how do you evaluate those. And that helps us detect and prevent hallucinations. And they really guide the quality of both task output and the doc outputs.
So, does it simply use the transcripts? Are we using the chats? Are we using the files? What context of the meeting is actually being used when you're talking about this?
We
Or
use
thinking about this?
everything, Ken. So the transcript, chats, and all the files that the participants have access to. So making sure privacy is top priority there.
Shree, anything more to add, or Wendy?
No, I think Milan covered it quite well. Ensuring that there is a very solid evaluation, I think it's critical, and that's been a key focus for our teams, working closely with the meeting team. One of the advantages that we see is like the underlying models themselves are getting better at reducing the hallucinations. But a key element is like ensuring that it has the context, right? Be it the transcript or be it the chat and all these things, because LLMs tend to hallucinate more if they don't have the context, right? Because that's when they try to make things up for the lack of information. So I would say, just from a hallucination standpoint of view, these are the two main things, and having a very robust evaluation framework, ensuring that we are having the right set of metrics in place to ensure none of these things, we are testing it out before anything's released. So that's been a key focus for our team, working closely with the meetings team and ensuring that we keep the hallucinations to as minimal as possible. Yeah.
So, Shree, I want to ask a question, kind of piggybacking again what we were talking about with the content that the PMA is going to read, right? And like, PMA is not a personal agent, right? This is not Sean's agent to do things, right? It's a team agent. Cool. So it's going and looking at documents and all this other content, but Wendy and Ken are on my team. what if Wendy doesn't have permissions to see a particular document that I'm talking about, some new marketing, campaign that I'm putting out, or Ken's building some new product features, or Wendy's building some new product features, right? Like how are we segregating this information when it's being delivered to an entire team and not just me?
So you bring up a very good point, which is the group versus the personal context, right? Like in this podcast right now, we have 5 of us, and one of the biggest challenges is like right now it's a group work, whereas when most of the other work or the AI interfaces are very user centric, right? And all of this meant that when you're working in a group setting, the biggest challenge that you have is that AI would directly interact with the group, and that means that there is a heightened element of scrutiny with the output that goes into the group, because it's not necessarily a single person's information, it's basically the group's information, which meant that we had to build additional measures in place to ensure that the right access only provided to the LLM, because LLMs, if it were to use my personal context, the risk that we run is that it might expose some of my personal emails in a group setting, and that's definitely not something that we want to land into, because that's a huge privacy concern. So a lot of the work that the team and everything the team has been doing is to ensure that, in this journey of having a group based agent, all of the files and the permissioning is mapped to the groups, as opposed to having the user context. So that's, I would say, by far that is one of the biggest problems that we have, right? Because every other AI or LLM operation today is very user centric, whereas in a group you have to use a completely different paradigm of working just to ensure that we are compliant and we are doing the right thing there. So great question.
I want to stress this is a differentiator from us and our competitors, is our security and how we approach security, and how we're thinking about, we're not just building an agent that you can just add to any meeting, right? And not thinking about the governance, the hallucination, the grounding, etc. And it really is that differentiator that Microsoft brings, because as much as I love the Planner team, we're not just the Planner team, right? We're part of the entire Microsoft ecosystem, and there's many products represented that are all working together here. So because this is a differentiator for us, and I also think that we're being very careful about that human in the loop capacity. So can you walk me through the flow, right? We recorded the meeting, we have the transcript, we have the chats. Walk me through the flow of, where do I see my tasks? Does it just get created? Do I approve it? And where do the tasks go after the meeting is finished?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think just taking a step back, let's just recap on, hey, what are the capabilities really we are enabling with Meeting Agent and PMA coming together? So I think the specific PMA skills that we are bringing into the Meeting Agent for teams are focused on task management and doc authoring. Task management kind of is very intuitive, as we are all discussing. Like, you can ask the agent to create and assign a task during the meeting. It also listens in the background and proactively captures those tasks as they come up. You can check in at any time during or after the meeting to see the task assigned to you or the one still assigned. So that's kind of the task management space. When we look at doc authoring as the other skill, the insight we had was we noticed most meetings end with someone being asked to draft a one-pager or a summary for follow-up. So that's where the Meeting Agent can pick up on that intent and offer to proactively draft a doc. And that's why giving the team a starting point, they can collaborate and refine together. And user can also ask Meeting Agent to write the doc. It's like reactively asking, hey, agent, can you do this? So these are kind of the two skills or scenarios, Wendy. The task and the doc skill are the two PMA skills that we are bringing into meetings with the agent. If I talk a little bit about the process, I think the primary one is like, if you talk about the task management, whenever the Meeting Agent detects a potential task from the conversation, it just creates the task automatically with the task title, with due date and assignment if available. And user can also ask the Meeting Agent in the meeting chat to create and assign a task. And all these tasks show up right in the meeting notes, and it also gets synced with the Planner app.
And I think you alluded to a story, but you skipped it. Wasn't there an executive who was in a meeting? I think I saw that email from our leadership, and he asked it to create a document. Do you want to share that story?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. In general, if you look at the overall reaction on these skills, I think reactions have been really positive from users. execs and all other folks. Like it's just internal right now, and that has given us a ton of valuable learnings. I think one thing people have consistently appreciated is the sense of control they get in managing their task right in the meeting. And the feature that you just called out, that's been called out as a magical feature, is the proactive doc authoring. So one of the execs, they were narrating some information, and at the end of the meeting they took an action item to write that up and send it across to the audience, and that's where the magic happened, where the doc authoring intent was kicked in, and it asked, hey, do you want me to author this document? And they were pleasantly surprised by the content as well. So yeah, this is a magical moment, but as Howard puts it, proactivity in AI is a really high risk high reward scenario. So, and users are really experiencing that firsthand, right? And as I'm talking through the user feedback, I think it's important to also call out the kind of inputs feedback we're hearing around, hey, the agent sometimes is too chatty about tasks, or the need to improve doc quality. And in general, in the AI space, like people always see the magic of the outputs, but there is this reliability, performance, like all these things needs to be really grinded out and worked on. So those are the areas that team is really active iterating on this, Wendy.
So Milan, I want to jump on that. You mentioned like, hey, we've got all these great features that are saving the team's time in their project, and that rocks, right? But there's me saying that like, yeah, guys, hey, leadership, this agent saved me so much time in this project and deliverables, but stats are better. Like, how do we measure success? How do I actually prove the ROI of PMA in my organization so leadership can get behind it, make sure that we champion it across our organization? Milan, Shree, how can you help me understand that better?
Yeah, maybe I can take a stab at it. I think it's a question that the entire industry is looking at right now, Sean, on how do we measure productivity and the productivity gains, right? And the way we are trying to simplify that, like let's not have a very big North Star on how do we measure productivity, but let's look at, are we removing the layers of drudgery in our day-to-day work, right? And just identify and chip away with it. So Sri talked about status reports. That's a biggest drudgery that I would say that we all of us do. Second thing, drudgery, I would say, is not writing the meeting notes and not tracking the tasks. If that gets automatically sent to your inbox the moment meeting ends, I think these are the early signals that we get, maybe more qualitative than quantitative, which gives us the feeling that we're on the right track to like kind of hit that, hey, we're gaining this productivity in terms of number of hours, amount of money saved, etc. Sri, do you want to add something here?
No, I think I completely agree with you, because measuring the productivity gain is a beast of a problem, given that that's something that's top of mind for everyone, specifically with all the, like, to me, be it with the meeting feature, the key aspect is like, hey, can we at least address some of the pain points, right? And as you can completely imagine, one of the next things is like, hey, if we address one meeting, can we address multiple meetings, right? So that's the direction that we're heading. Specifically, if I have a ship room and it has 20 different action items, right? How do we ensure that we can sort of, because ship rooms tend to happen weekly, can we ensure that we have the action items from one meeting go to another meeting? Those are the scenarios that we are looking at. While we started off just by capturing tasks, the next thing that you will see is like, how does this build on top of another? And as Milan rightly put it, right? We are chipping away at the problem bit by bit, but we know that, when all of these things add up collectively, it's going to have a significant gain and also a change in terms of how we work. So that's definitely the idea there. Yeah.
Easy question for you both. What's the key thing that you would like for our listeners to take away from the conversation today for the product?
Now, I think the main takeaway I would say is, with AI coming in, definitely there's a level of nervousness around the fact that, hey, AI is going to sort of take away my work. Hey, if it's going to do my project management, then what will I be doing? And things like that. But I hope that, be it with project manager management, the project manager agent, or whatever be it, the main thing that we are trying to solve with all the work that we're doing today is to ensure that we address some of the pain areas for the users. So I personally don't think that there's going to be a big bang change where one fine day all of the work gets completely changed. It's going to be more of an iterative process where AI will definitely address some of the pain areas for us, and that will help us be better at our job, giving us more time to do certain other things. My learning so far has been that, addressing that pain problem is the main thing, as opposed to people being overtly concerned about everything being fully automated. I don't know in a distant future whether that's a possibility or not, but at least right now, that's definitely not the main focus with AI. It's just about ensuring that we can help users with the right tools, and AI should be treated more as a tool as opposed to being a competitor with you. That would be my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the takeaway for me in general is just use more of AI tools and identify the places where there is drudgery in your own life. Project Manager Agent is a tool that trying to address a set of drudgery that we feel. So give it a try, see where it helps you, like status reports, like meeting notes, tasks, the bunch of other things coming in. But in general, beyond that, just use those tools. We use it every day, tools to get inspiration, because the landscape is changing so fast that we need to also know what are the things that we can use for our problems. So yeah, use more tools. For sure, use Project Manager Agent to see if some of the drudgery that all of us have can be solved.
Simple, practical use every day that everybody can benefit from and be more productive.
Love it. Hey, so before we close out, I'm always going to ask the dreaded question. What's the licensing? What do I need to have for licensing in order to use this?
Sean, this is a 15-minute podcast or 30 minutes, and it's not 2 hours. But let's see how quickly they can do it.
No, it's a pretty straightforward answer. I think as a part of the Copilot license, Microsoft, all of our Copilot users get PMA for free. This is all of the Project Manager Agent it's a part of the whole Copilot license. So there should not be any additional licensing required as of now. And that means that, be it the meetings feature or the in-house Project Manager Agent within Planner, everything should be part of the whole Copilot license. There shouldn't be any new requirement there. So yeah, short answer for an.
We like being easy on the licensing model. So
Yeah, no, that's super true. Hey, Shree, Milan, thank you so much for joining us. This was a super interesting topic, one that I think more people are going to be picking up in the future using PMA in their projects and really kind of streamlining and incorporating more generative AI into how they work. But it sounds like there's a lot more stuff in the pipe. There's a lot more coming on the roadmap. So we'll definitely want to revisit with you later because one, I really enjoy talking to both of you. And two, because we use Planner on the podcast, I want to know how we can dog food some of these amazing features. So let's chat later about that. Thank you both for joining us. This was awesome.
Thanks
Thanks
for
a lot,
having us.
Ken, Sean, and Wendy. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.